I was reading a few quotes. I like to start every episode off with an inspirational quote, as the listeners might know. Why are men great until it's time to be great? And you may be wondering who said that, but it's the great Minnesota philosopher Lizzo. Who said that? Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, you drop that one, like, it really makes you think. And so Lizzo's in trouble, though. However, I think Lizzo became kind of cool to me. Just kind of became cool, like a James Brown type figure of just having weird requirements for your backup singers and dancers and stuff. I think that's Lindy, as people say. So what she got in trouble for was, or this is all alleged. I don't, do we believe women when the accusations are against women? I don't know. I'm not sure what the order of operations are there, but she was accused of taking her dancers, weight shaming her backup dancers.
Well, she wants to be the fattest one,
right? And they don't say. Well, so was she weight? Because when they say weight shaming, I'm assuming they would have said fat shaming if they were fat.
They've said fat shaming a lot.
Oh, did they say fat shaming? Okay, so we can confirm. Yeah. Okay, we can confirm. I'm going to need some scales here to confirm. If I was a judge, I would have them all stand on a scale to see where the allegations go from there. But when she also took them to this like insane strip club, I guess. This is all alleged, of course. And there were strippers shooting dildos out of their vaginas.
And butts, I think, and butts,
and butts. I mean, why would I ever cap off their potential for projectile? Silly me, but there goes me being misogynist, saying women can only shoot it out of one thing. But they were also saying that they were putting bananas in their vaginas, the strippers, and saying that, and Lizzo was pressuring her ensemble backup dancers, backup singers to eat the bananas out of the vaginas. But what they don't tell you is that when it was Lizzo's turn to eat, it was a Snickers bar.
Yeah, from the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I'll never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane by the visit Glen Rock, need crypto, told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
And so no, it's interesting. I think it's funny. She's been, we've kind of made fun of her a lot on this podcast, where she's I only know that one song, the one that everyone knows, the DNA test one, which it's whatever. It's definitely like a spin class kind of jam, I guess. And she's from Minnesota, and I've heard her compared to Prince, which I don't take kindly to, because that's one of my favorite all-time artists. And I think now that I think about it, she is Prince, but for people whose coffee orders are 1,400 calories or more. And what are your guys' thoughts on this? I'd like to hear before I introduce you guys.
Okay, I have some thoughts right off the bat. I love talking about celebrity stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, first off, I lived in Amsterdam for 5 months at one point in my life, and these sex shows are like a notorious, like, touristy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds insane, but it's like something that people do in Amsterdam when they go, especially American tourists. And I, as someone who is a gay guy who has been to a strip club with a bunch of straight guys before, the kind of drunk egging on, I think, is sort of like a normal part of the experience. Because, like, in my experience, a lot of straight guys like aren't that into the whole stripper thing, but there's kind of this like bro, like, oh, come on, like, get a lap dance, blah, blah, blah. So my take on that is that probably it was something like that. Like, a lot of people were drinking, and there was sort of this like jovial, playful egging on, and yeah, I don't know. I don't. To me, it doesn't. The headlines are more sensational than probably what happened. The weight shaming I find hilarious because I'm just wondering if Lizzo's goal is to be the fattest one on stage. That's been like my biggest thought about this.
It would make sense. I mean, because if you saw a backup dancer that was way bigger, you'd be like, what? Like, it just wouldn't make sense, you know? Because do you remember, like, she's been like kind of a I don't want to say evil. I mean, evil might be too strong of a word, but she's always had kind of like that like mean streak to her, you know, for a long time. Because I remember when she was first coming up, I think when that one song was really big, she doxed a DoorDasher one time, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Because one of her wings was missing out of her order.
Oh, such a badass behavior.
I know. It's like, what a way to tell on yourself. Like, but what's crazy is like, you know, like, I get it. It's like, maybe relay that to DoorDash HQ instead of Twitter, but you know, whatever. Perhaps you get a credit, you know, and she was probably mad that the credit doesn't cover the delivery fee for the next one. I get it, Lizzo. I feel you. But she like and she had like 1 million followers or something, and she like doxed this poor person, which like it could have been the restaurant that did it. There's like 1 million things, you know, it's DoorDash. I mean, it could be 1 million things. She's always had that like kind of like evil, kind of like spiteful, like big girl kind of thing about her, you know, like, which I that part is cool to me. Because like I said, we need more like James Brown, like fascist type people, like almost Denzel Training Day. If you don't smoke this, we have a problem kind of situations.
Well, A thinks she's a psyop.
Yeah.
You don't say. You don't say.
Yeah, well, we have a storied history with Lizzo. Like, I don't know what's up with her. Like, if she's like, she gives me almost like a Biden kind of like CGI vibe. Like, but
Jurassic Park kind of like, Steven Spielberg Lizzo.
Or like or maybe it was just like they nailed it over in central casting or something, but she's just a lot. And then like our whole, like, I don't know, for me it's like my thing was I thought they were gonna send her to the moon with like the Artemis project, like the woke moon landing. There's
issues with that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, exactly. Just like legit physics and whatever.
Physics. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah.
But but now I don't know, because I wasn't expecting her to like get canceled or whatever. But
she's not canceled. She's not canceled. First off, she's gonna lose weight now. So I think she's going to start losing weight. I think you're going to get like a Jennifer Hudson kind of arc is going to happen right now.
Ozempic arc.
Yeah, they're gonna Wegovy Ozempic her for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then she's going to, like Adele, you know, like how Adele lost a bunch of weight and then people got mad at her for it. It's going to be like she's just always going to need to, always need to dominate headlines. And one of my favorite things, or the thing that actually kind of scares me the most about her is the flute. I don't know. The flute is where it feels psyop-y to me. I'm like, why is it a flute? And yeah, I don't know. And then like, you know, the weird Instacart commercial where she's getting nothing but like Oreos on Instacart and like playing the flute, and then
Uncrustables
and Oreos, like just amazing stuff. We're gonna get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode. So let me introduce our guest. We've been on their podcast before, and now it's our turn to host them on our crystallized background. And this is the podcast Thots and Prayers. They go by Q and A. It's quite simple, 2 syllables. If you don't include the and. But they are a very fun podcast. We were able to go on their show and talk about the magics of Rishi. You know, and just all the fun things about the adaptogenics that we take. And but you guys, if I'll tell you this, Cy and I are Mark Cuban and Damon from Shark Tank, and I want you guys to pitch the podcast to us, because I always like to hear what it's always such an awkward question, but I want to ask it this time. What it like? Sell me your podcast. I love when people to explain their podcast. I think it's fun.
I'll punt this one to Q.
Okay.
For that reason, I'm out.
Well, yeah. I'll say that I think we're famously the first gay guy, straight guy podcast to ever exist.
Cy hasn't come out yet, but yeah, we're
so when's your launch date?
We're gonna need the numbers. We need that graph to keep going up, Cy. So either transition or come out. You pick whichever you think works more. Yeah.
So I'm a little more I'm significantly more interested than A in like celebrity and cultural criticism.
Sure.
And I'm definitely more of a ship poster than A, so I kind of bring that energy to the podcast. And then A is really into conspiracy theories, and is constantly red pilling me on things like the moon landing and how smoking is actually good for you. So we kind of have a healthy mix of like gay guy / autistic straight guy topics, and we have episodes that are mostly us goofing off, and then we have episodes where we do like a deep dive into stuff like the Oklahoma City bombing and stuff like that. So we kind of do it all, and it ends up with A getting a lot of gay guys thirsting for him on Twitter, even though they've never seen him. And it
Jack
ends up.
I heard Jack say he was hot on the episode.
Jack did say he was hot, and that what I get is a lot of autistic right-wing incel guys calling me a faggot. So we both
that means they like you. That means they like you.
So we both get positive reinforcement out of it on Twitter.
Nice. Excellent stuff. Now you guys recently one series that I like that you guys do, I really enjoy. I enjoy Cassandra's episode. Cassandra, we have something special planned with Cassandra on the Gain of Fiction program that we're going to be doing eventually. But I really enjoy Pool House, because he's a Bay Area schizo. That's what I like about him. He's like old school Bay Area crazy guy, which is really like I can already understand everything that he's saying.
Pool House, he's like on the Mount Rushmore of like conspiracy theorists. He's like
he's seen it all. He's seen it all. He's seen what sticks. He's seen what is what's fake. Like with some people bite on everything. He kind of he kind of knows what's real and what's fake. That's what I like about him.
He's an ancient soul. Like I think Pool House is like thousands of years old. So he brings he kind of brings like a an esoteric prehistory energy.
He's a big Smash Mouth fan too. I like that.
Yeah.
I've had a long conversation with Steve Harwell one time, and it was really eye-opening because we're both in the same town. Shit. So we're both in the same town, and I went to a music studio that he owned one time, and he pulled up in a like a nice truck and was just like came out just looking how he looks and was just like, "What's up, dude?" You know what I mean? The guy's been through a lot in his life too. He's had like a pretty tough life, but he was really cool, man. And so that I always like talking about Smash Mouth. But your most recent episode, what'd you guys think of that guy? It's okay, he won't listen to this.
Well, first off, thank you everyone for all the feedback on the audio. We are aware, so
fuck that. Yeah,
we appreciate all the DMs. But
isn't that the best? Like you don't know. Yeah.
But I'll punt this to A because it was more his sort of. I guess Twitter beefs is strong.
Explain what you guys did, because I think it was important that you did it as much as I hated hearing the guy talk about it. So go.
Cool. Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys saying that. But so it was Daniel Hadass, and he kind of got dragged a little bit on the timeline for doing a post that was like the real purpose of the genuine motivation of the COVID regime was saving lives, and it wasn't a smokescreen for any other like type of agenda or whatever. And so I asked him to come on, and basically he kind of like gave his like position on what he was saying, and then basically I argued for like the conspiracy side.
Sure.
So
the correct side. Yes.
Yeah, right. Right. But it was kind of interesting. I mean, I honestly I respect him for doing it, for just coming on and talking to us, and like even if he disagreed, he didn't act like we were like retards or like lunatics, like, so I respect that. And I have been still like trying to conspiracy pill him in the DMs and stuff, and he hasn't like blocked me or whatever. So.
Yeah. And so the problem I have with what his claim is that his claim is that they tried to save lives. Were they effective in it? No, but they tried to save lives with the public health response to COVID. Okay, explain the nursing homes in New York. All right, like explain that, like, because that clearly it was just like let's just consolidate this and get this done with. And then also you have the idea is that, like, to me, that just keeps public health as like they'll get it right next time. They're learning from their mistakes and they'll get it right next time. And it's like to me, that's just a guy that's gonna fall for it the next time. That's all I'm gonna say. Like that's to me is my issue with it all, is just that, like, public health this was their one error, and which we know, a lot of us know, in the history of public health response to a lot of viruses and diseases, that's just not the case.
Well, to be fair to him completely, he also made the point that saving lives in and of itself isn't the greatest moral good. And I thought that was interesting to think about, that if you solely focus on saving lives only, that's not necessarily the greatest moral good, and that should be questioned. So I thought that was a valuable contribution.
And yeah, I mean, Daniel is he's an anti-lockdown, anti-vax, like he's not like he doesn't think any of that shit was a good thing.
100%. Yeah.
But like but it was also just kind of interesting, and I don't know, like, your audience, I feel like most of them are probably into the conspiracy shit, but I don't know.
No, not our guys. Come on.
But
we put our pants on one leg at a time and go to work, man. That's what our audience does. We're straight and narrow. We don't believe in anything weird. Yeah,
but like when I'm talking on our pod, usually I'm kind of mostly assuming that like people are like already with us on that stuff. Right. So it was kind of interesting to like kind of try to argue about the conspiracy point with someone like where the audience being a person who like thinks that's crazy or whatever, and how to like do it with while like making it kind of legit or something. I don't know.
No, 100%. I mean, it's an important conversation to have. I mean, I think it's like I've always, I mean, like, Sai, we've talked about, like, with diet people, there's certain diet people that just won't come on to talk with us. You know what I mean?
Man, I want to talk about it so bad. I love talking about it in good faith with people, because there's a thing about diet is there's just so much, like, any one of us could, if this shit was 10 times less complicated than it currently is, it would still be so insanely complicated that none of us could ever figure it out. And so, and just, it's just fun, but yeah, people get all wrapped up in their own little universes.
Yeah. So credit to him to at least go on a podcast, and credit to you guys to at least not be like this scary, gotcha, haha, you're in my, lair, trapped in my lair. Now we're going to, throw stones at you for being wrong on the timeline, because I don't think that's effective either, especially when somebody's willing to hear you out and stuff like that, and that's important. And it's just there's so many people that are down to make bold claims that don't ever want to like talk about it, other than just kind of being shitty or like blocking you or whatever. I mean, like, Sai, our poor sweet vegan Sai runs into this quite often. That's why he's not on Twitter anymore. I mean, there was just people just like listeners of the show that were just like, hey, I'm still gonna listen, but like I can't. If he posts the heart disease meme one more fucking time, I'm gonna blow my fucking head off. And no, I mean, like, no, it's really like it's like there's people like that, but it's like, dude, he's had to you've had to, defend yourself at like dinner tables before, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, not, let alone like a podcast where everyone's weird, so there's like a baseline level of weirdness because we're all on the internet.
Yeah. And I think like part of our mission is like having people like that on, like, Jack had some critiques of our podcast, and we had him on specifically because we like talking to people who don't agree with us 100%, so that's,
and you guys ended up having a fun ass time, and it was really entertaining. I listened
we had a great time with him, and I felt like, so I think it's healthy to do stuff like that.
I agree. No, 100% I agree. So we brought you guys on today to talk about two films, one of which was your guys' pick, and one of it was ours. Really mine. I suggested this movie just because I wanted to talk about it anyways on our show. So we're going to be talking about two films today. From 2019, Ari Aster's Midsommar, and from 2022 or 2023, it might be this year. Kristoffer Borgli, I don't know how to say his name. He was on Bret Easton Ellis's podcast and was wonderful. But it's called Sick of Myself. It's a Norwegian film. So let's start with Midsommar. I rewatched it. It was my second time watching it. Before I give my take on it, I'm going to pass it over to Q&A here, just to be like, what made you guys want to talk about it this time?
Well, I love Midsommar a lot. I've probably seen it maybe 8 or 9 times. I joked around with A earlier, and it's true that I fell asleep to it for a period of time. I'm a little bit of a freak, I guess, but I liked sort of falling asleep to Midsommar. And I think it's a beautifully shot film. And I love horror. I'm obsessed with horror. And I also loved that he chose a horror film that took place entirely in the daylight. I thought that was an incredibly cool choice. And there are, and he was pretty inspired by The Wicker Man, which also I got to see in theaters recently at IFC. I got to see The Wicker Man, and
it's excellent.
And that takes place pretty much not entirely in the daylight, but quite a lot of it is in the daylight too. So and I loved Hereditary as well. So that's why I suggested it.
Sai, what's your take on Midsommar?
Yeah, I like the daylight thing too. I love the psychedelic, very accurate psychedelic representations. You know, like the mushroom trips, especially the dark negative parts of it. Yeah. The reveal at the end with the green man. What's his name? I forget. The spoiler alert. You know the
I've never seen it.
The friend that brings them there. You know that shit's so dope. That goes so hard. Definitely caught me by surprise. Like I didn't know the first time I watched it. And I love the is it Mark, the guy from the Jennifer Aniston, Jason Sudeikis movie, We're the Millers? You know, the kid.
Are you talking about the kid that looks like the Toy Story villain kid?
Yeah. I love it. He's my favorite.
That's why I grew my hair out, because I used to look like him when I was younger. So,
he's my favorite. He's my favorite character in the movie.
Oh yeah, the one who really wants to get everyone to eat the shrooms immediately and then has the bad trip. Yeah.
And the guy that just doesn't give a fuck about any of it. He's just like, he's just there clowning. He's like
pissing on the ancestral tree, which is amazing, by the way. That's an amazing thing. I rewatched this for the second time. I didn't realize it was 2.5 hours long the first time I watched it. I felt the 2.5 hours the second time, because one thing I think it suffers from, I do, and I'm saying this as somebody who really enjoys the movie, but the one thing I think, if I'm gonna nitpick it, Hereditary, once the mongoloid kid gets hit in the fucking face with the lamp on the car, it's go time. Pedal to the metal, it's go time. It just goes insane. It's crazy. Midsommar, after the mallet smashing thing, which is still jarring, the mallet smashing of the elders who are reached their end of their life cycle. After that, it kind of lulls a little bit, like, and it's still cool. It's still very pleasing to look at. There's still much going on. Not to say nothing's happening, but I don't remember that much middle time of kind of meandering psychedelia as much. I don't remember that. But I do like, one thing I didn't put 2 and 2 together for the first time I watched this, because I think for a lot of things, the first time you watch a movie, you're just like, what'd you think from a surface level? But the second time you watch it, you can understand, I think, what the director or auteur or whatever is telling you. And I think with Florence Pugh, who is really unsettling to me. She's a great actress. She's just very unsettling, just like to look at and hear speak, especially in real life. If you hear her like talk on like off out of, as her regular self, she's like always sounds like she has a cold and stuff.
Do you guys think she's hot? I asked you that earlier.
Absolutely revolting.
Okay.
In Oppenheimer. And
for me, not revolting, but definitely not. Kind of like maybe like a
yeah. She's not. She's
6-7.
not really like a lot of. She's not like a straight guy's like bombshell actress by any means.
Yeah,
Which is
and
funny because the
Oppenheimer,
whole Midsommar movie is her getting like the guys like they're like dating, but he's just like whatever, he's just like not, he's just like fuck, I'm over
yeah,
this shit,
and he's like, you can tell like he could kill it anywhere. He's one of those guys that like women and gay men probably think he's beautiful, you know what I mean? Like, but as guys, we think he's just like a regular guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just got like that kind of like that look, and they've been together like, was it like 4 years and a month or something like that? It was like something, and he like forgets her birthday and stuff, and it's pretty much the Wicker Man for women. And but it's
I was gonna say I was talking with A's wife about it earlier, and she said two things that I thought were insightful. The one, she said she didn't think the mallet smashing was as disturbing as the head blowing off the mongoloid, just because in Hereditary, when that happens, you're kind of like with the brother and you're like feeling that guilt, whereas she was saying that like it was so gory. It was almost like, I feel like she almost used the word like beautiful in a way. Like it was like it was more fascinating than terrifying. Yeah. And the other thing we talked about was how women's reaction to this film was very much like, fuck that dude, like felt like feminist message, like he's a loser boyfriend, and dudes did not have that reaction to the film.
It was like a revenge fantasy.
Yeah, but a lot of women I know see it as like essentially like a revenge fantasy against a mean man.
Well, here's what I think happened. I think there's a meta narrative to all this. It is a feminist movie, and that's not a critique. That it is. Women are allowed to feel scorned by, especially when their sister kills her parents and herself, and they're alone in the world. And the one guy that they thought they could lean on because they've been together for quite a long time kind of doesn't care, and was planning like a trip that she's not invited to. I get that. Like, that's shitty. That's not what you're supposed to do. Like, but the one thing that's interesting is I think the reason she's so drawn to the cult, because she's she buys in towards at the end. I mean, there's that last scene. It's cool. Like it's where she really buys in, and you can tell for the longest time that she kind of was selected to be the queen. I think there's like a real conspiracy narrative that the cult orchestrated the murder suicide, in my opinion. I mean, that's what I would to kind of draw her in, make it look appealing to her. I think there's something that could be explored there. But also, I think she loves that the cult has everything under control, because what is her life at that point? Her life, nothing is in control. Her sister kills her parents. That turns everything upside down. Whereas when you see the mallet smashing scene, that is to her, even at the time, it's scary to her, but it probably is a little beautiful when those people decided that their life was over at the end of a cycle determined by the religion they believe in, and they were killed and on their own terms, whereas her parents absolutely were not. And then you have the boyfriend thing where her boyfriend is like gonna like mate with another girl, but like that's weird. But also, she's having trouble getting him to commit to anything. She would never have that trouble inside the cult, right? Because everyone's determined. You've been selected as a match to mate with this person. So everything is controlled. And she realizes that she's part of a society where she doesn't have to worry about any of the stuff that she had to worry about before.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I also really like the head smashing part, weirdly, like where the old people kill themselves or whatever.
Yeah. And what's worse, that or Made in Canada, right? The Made program in Canada. What's worse?
But to me, it was like I don't know, like they brought death to like out of the shadows and just kind of like as something that's a part of life that, like they just accepted. And like, whereas I feel like here it's like it's all hidden away, like everyone like goes and dies like in a hospital, like or whatever, like away from everybody else. And I don't know. I thought that was
it's like it's one of those things where obviously like if all of us went, we'd be like, what the hell? I mean, I would be on a lot of psychedelics and I'd probably just whatever happens. But I'd be like that. I definitely wouldn't be like the weird black dude doing his thesis. I definitely wouldn't be doing my thesis there and then getting in an argument about do we both get to do our thesis here, and then taking pictures of their little scripture and stuff like that. But I thought the food looked appetizing. That looked fun. I mean, I could set up something similar with a Rishi situation with like the drinks where we dance around in circles. I don't hate that. And really, like, what's the difference between a cult and a club? You know what I mean? And like and nowadays, you know, like it's there's not that much difference anymore if you take away the brutal murders and killing, of course. But that's probably the only difference, right? I mean, like nowadays, I know I see people that sit around and watch CNN all day. It's a cult to me, and they applaud certain people's deaths. They applaud deaths of their enemies, and things like that. And I'm just like, at least theirs is outdoors and they're touching grass, you know?
Yeah, I found the cults appealing in some ways. I've often joked that I feel like I would be very susceptible to a cult. People respond to me that they don't think so because I don't like listening to anyone tell me what to do. But I understand. I'd never heard it framed like that, Glenn. But that's interesting. Like one thing about joining a cult is it is true. It's like the rules are very defined. And it's kind of, if you think about COVID and you think about like wokeness, right? Like those are like attempts at like defining like this is right, this is wrong, this is what life is supposed to be. You know, both of those kind of paradigms are kind of cultish in a way. And that's, I think, why some people really genuinely did like them, you know?
Yeah. I think I was also too, like, props to the dude being able to get hard with all the dancing old naked women around him.
Oh yeah, and I mean, brave for the actor. I mean, he did Full Frontal, and he doesn't have like a total like schlong or anything. So, you know, I think, I mean, not that it's small. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he was.
I mean,
like,
I was going to ask you to weigh in on that because
no, I mean,
it was important. It's important.
He didn't go for the prosthesis either.
He didn't do the he didn't do the prosthesis. He famously said in interviews that was his body, and I think that's a
he watched the interviews.
I think that was a brave choice for a male actor just to kind of like go for it.
Who
Especially
was the guy that did the prosthesis?
The really
everyone.
hot, a lot of them do it. The really hot guy did it in White Lotus recently.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because his was like down to his knees. It's like,
yeah,
dude, It's like, what do you, like, dude, you're like an absolute like Greek statue. It's okay if it's like 5.5, dude. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. You'll be okay. It's not, you know, go poor you. But it is interesting though, because if like guys do a nude scene, because I know Bret Easton Ellis, I just listened to him a lot, and he was talking about how him and the female director of American Psycho wanted Christian Bale, Patrick Bateman, to do Full Frontal, and he like wouldn't do it. And it's like, does denying Full Frontal kind of mean you don't have it going on already?
Probably. I mean, you know, and also it's like he's fucking Christian Bale, and like if he has an average size penis,
exactly,
like, it kind of takes away from the fantasy that he has. You know who did actually show his penis, at least allegedly, is Ben Affleck in Gone Girl. That's apparently his real junk. So
I don't even remember that.
I don't remember that either.
yeah, it's something a gay guy spots.
I don't. I've seen that movie. It's a great movie. I don't remember that. That's weird.
You see it for like half a second in the shower when she's washing the butt out.
Okay. Yeah, it's
freeze
one of those
frame
pause. Yeah, one of those pause.
The pause doesn't have the. It doesn't have the right granularity. You got to try it 47 times.
Yeah. But our mascot apparently does got it going on, so he was willing. You know,
that's true. That's him down there. That's great. But no, I Midsommar is really good. I think Ari Aster is really talented, and I think he's one of those guys that I think he benefits from the modern era of nobody being that good as far as making psychological horror the way that he does, or just movies kind of with meta narratives and things. Like there's not a lot of directors that can do it, so he does get like overrated, where as far as when you hear like film people, like I've done an episode with Adam Lehrer a long time ago where we talked on his System of Systems, where he's kind of, you know, Adam's the film guy, and he's just kind of like, yeah, it's like his movies are like cool and interesting, but it's like I hate hearing about how amazing he is, because if you put him in the 70s, it wouldn't be jack shit, which I do agree. But
definitely.
But you know, at the same time, I think that also makes him a little underrated, because every movie I watch of his I enjoy. I haven't seen Beau is Afraid yet, but I've heard that even Adam says that's his actual best. I haven't seen that yet. But have you guys ever seen The Strange Thing About the Johnsons?
No.
Oh, that's one for Thots and Prayers if you guys ever want to watch that. It's on YouTube. I think it might still be on YouTube. It's a father-son incest movie that Ari Aster did as a student film.
Oh, that was his first. Okay, I did hear about that. He had a student film that was supposed to.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's
I also I also think one thing, well, two things that I think are cool about him too. I mean, he's like all of our ages, like, which makes me feel unaccomplished, but he's like a young guy. So I think that's cool. And I also was going to say that I think what he does with grief is really poignant. I have seen Beau is Afraid too. And it's like all three of his movies, like, you know, you really feel like the terror and like the gut wrenching, reality of grief, and I think that's really incredible. And I, you know, it's kind of, if you really like stop, not to like get all serious for a minute, but if you really stop and think about it, like you realize that you're gonna like feel profound grief like at multiple points in your life. Like it's inevitable. It's inevitable, right? So that's and that's horrifying when you really stop and think about it. And he really like draws you to that. He's like, you will feel this, like, you know, this specific bad thing might not happen, but like people you love are gonna die and it's gonna feel awful. And that's kind of a horror. I don't think that gets used as much in horror as it could be, and he really brings that out.
Yeah, and also the people around the grief, like the Swedish guy who we think is just he's just a nice little Swedish guy at the beginning. I forget his name, but he's just, you know, really real nice guy, the curly hair guy, and he's like, oh, and he just kind of says like, I'm so sorry to hear about this, and she just loses it. And, you know, and that's how it's clearly like, please don't bring it up, please don't bring it up, please don't bring it up. I know you're being nice, like that which is how it works when it's so fresh like that. But then you also have the boyfriend who, like, he's looking to get out of that at any time. His most beta quality is not just ending it, because he even says himself, like, she doesn't like sex, like she's just kind of like which I don't know. I could see it, you know.
Well, she's depressed and like on SSRIs and shit. I mean, like her character, I could see her character not being super sexual.
Oh, and there's a troll too that she's majoring in psych too. By the way, that's a huge
that's a huge red flag. You also do see her taking pills and stuff. So I wouldn't. I'm not surprised she's not a freak in the sheets. This character.
No, not at all. And like, it's weird when you see Florence Pugh, like, she's like, seems like fun and interesting, but like every YouTube video, she does like every eating challenge, like ever. She's you say, she's like, I'm 7 pounds of Sour Patch Kids and talking about Little Women with Florence Pugh for Vanity Fair. You're like, damn. And or like, you know, Hot Ones, and she's already eaten all the wings before the first question's asked. You're like, damn. Like,
she did one I really loved where she did one for Vogue where she's in like a really like designer dress and she eats a bunch of like quintessentially British foods.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's very funny, but it's also, you know, kind of brave. It kind of gives into her, like, she's not a super slim actress that she's always doing. She's always doing the food.
You know who she is? I think she's like a newer Kate Winslet. Like, she's kind of like, where like, I think like a lot of like women and gay men are going to be like, she's beautiful. Straight men for Kate Winslet, I don't know, that maybe I'm just speaking for myself. It's kind of like, nah, but she's great. You know, I love Mare of Easttown was an amazing show that nobody talks about for as far as Kate Winslet. But I think Florence Pugh is going to have a career similar to that. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins Oscars and anything. Like, I don't think she has yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if she does, because she is extremely talented. And a lot of the best shots in the movie are just close-ups on her face, like just kind of losing her mind. And that's really what you need in a horror movie that follows kind of the 70s model. And what else do you guys like about the movie? Sai, what else do you like about the movie?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like the grief part in the beginning. I think it's so necessary.
No, it's great. I thought the beginning was better the second time around, like, than the end. Like, I actually enjoyed the beginning more on a rewatch. Yeah, please,
for sure. And just I don't know, because I'm like the pagan stuff, you know, or like our paranormal chat and in our Discord and stuff. It's like it's pretty accurate representations of all that stuff, and the whole thing with like like Scandinavian countries, and we'll get into this with the next film, I'm sure. But like, I can't tell if I like those places and want to visit or not. I'm kind of 50, you know. It's kind of enticing. It's kind of like the movie plot where it's kind of enticing, where you're like, man, I really want to go. It looks cool. But then there's that weird other part where it's like, is it cool? You know, is it, you know, it's kind of, it's like
That's what happens when you order IKEA furniture. You're like, is this fun to put together? Is this going to work? Yeah.
Well, they're very like odd, isolated cultures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the equivalent of like a Japan or something.
Definitely.
You know, where it's
they're Asians. They're the Asians of white people for sure.
It's like,
they definitely are.
What's going on up there? You know, like what the fuck, you know, it's like
a lot.
And there's all these, And then you just read all the stats. Like,
is universal healthcare worth it? You have to ask.
Well, yeah, and that one, there's like, it's the happiest countries on earth, but they're all on SSRIs. It's like maybe it is a group of cults.
Yeah, and they eat surströmming. Have you ever seen surströmming?
No,
like, Jesus Christ. Look it up, surströmming. It's fucking disgusting looking.
Like, they eat gross stuff. I went to Iceland, which is considered broadly a Scandinavian country, and it's like all like cured like rotting shark. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, I've seen that one. I forget who it was. It was probably Andrew Zimmern, because he was like, yummy, this is better than In-N-Out Burger. Like when he was at this is so good, I can't stop licking my fingers. I fucking hate that guy so much. But
you've hated it since I've known you.
I don't even like Anthony Bourdain. I'm not big on Food Traveler guys. Like I don't even like Anthony Bourdain that much. Like he's fine, but yeah, not really. But Andrew Zimmern, I have an actual like report. They should just let him rot, and Swedish people should just eat Andrew Zimmern for the rest of his life. And they're odd people. They seem cool, but it also seems like it also kind of seems like you were the last person to find out about what they were talking about when you enter the room. Like you were like, this conversation stops and they all look at you and they're just like, oh, hey, how's it going? And kind of like Alexander Skarsgård's like that too. You're just like, there's something off about him. I can just tell.
They're all weird. Like A and I were talking about a mutual friend today who's from Copenhagen, and it's like he's like one of the weirdest guys we've like ever met. You know, like they all have this like kind of like bizarro personality.
Well, they're kind of dicks. And they act like it's because they're just like really blunt or whatever, but it's like more than they are like trying to kind of like fuck with you a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. They think we're lame because we're so earnest. Americans are so earnest, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Did they invent irony? You have to ask. I mean, I have to look up.
It's just dirtbag countries. It is what it is.
It is a dirtbag left country. Yeah, you have to think about it. Yeah.
They're also like I think another thing that we find creepy about them is, they're essentially racially homogenous. And that's very bizarre to us because America is like obviously an incredibly diverse country. So that's also weird. It's like they're like all of them are like 95% like ethnic Swedes. And then
there's one really dark African guy with like a blonde like mohawk usually. Like, and it's just one guy per like there's a very calculated like per capita where that's allowed, like in Sweden. Yeah, or at least I think. But it's interesting. But with Midsommar, just closing out on Midsommar, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised I didn't own it. I thought I had it in my DVD collection, but I didn't for some reason. I probably need to rectify that situation. But it's the ending. I mean, let's just touch on the ending where it is kind of a feminist cult. You've come to realize it's when women run the Mother Nature, if you will, kind of pagan style cult where the man is just used for breeding and then he's used for an offering at the end, and they put a bear suit on him, which I thought was gay representation personally, where they put the bear suit on him,
and they put him in a literal longhouse. It's a longhouse.
It is a longhouse. It is a longhouse. Yeah, exactly. No, they put him in there with two other men who are like thrilled to win the lottery to do that. They can't wait. They're just like, it's like being able to draft fucking Hakeem Olajuwon or something, and then then it goes on fire. Everybody has that same kind of retching look, like they're purging the men from their memories, but it's also a celebratory thing. Florence Pugh's covered in flowers, and then we're out of here. So
I have a question for everyone. I'm curious what you guys would answer. Do you guys think Florence's character stays and joins the cult?
Absolutely. She's the queen.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay,
she's the queen. She's literally like she's the queen. I mean, it's like that's why I think ultimately I think that there's a kind of Reddit-y narrative, like Reddit-y kind of like deep dive you can do. That's like, did they orchestrate the murder suicide to get her there? Where it's like, this is our queen. We need to get
there's some evidence of that too, because one thing I'm obsessed with this movie, so I know all these weird little details, but when she's getting carried on the platform in the trees, you can see the outline of her sister's dead face.
Oh, for real? It's like some Wizard of Oz shit.
Yeah, like, and if you go to the part that like on Reddit and stuff, they tell you to go to like the minute count, you can pause it and you see the outline of the dead sister's face in the trees. So there is
Aster girls or whatever. I don't know. What would the Reddit?
I don't know.
Is it a mid subreddit?
But I'm just, yeah, so you're kind of right. They do actually reference the murder again in this really kind of subtle way.
Yeah.
So.
Or I mean, and then also it's like the Swedish guy, obviously we know he's like in on it the whole time. So maybe he just found out and decided, you know, it doesn't mean they orchestrated, but maybe he just used, it's like, hey, I think this is the perfect candidate. Perhaps that's it too. But you know, it's interesting. So all right, if we move on to the next one, you guys have any more thoughts on Midsommar?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. So this one was my suggestion. I got this suggestion from Bret Easton Ellis because he had the director on, and then our mutual friend Jack Mason said the same thing. Said it was great. That's all I need to hear. I put it on. Absolutely loved it. This is called Sick of Myself. And it's a Norwegian film, extremely Norwegian, and I really like the lead actress in it, even though obviously you hate her like the whole movie, like, because she's just so fucking annoying, but she does her part well. What I would say to sell this movie to anybody who's on the fence about watching a Norwegian kind of satire film, because people don't think Norwegian people are funny. I didn't think that before I saw this either. And what I would say is, for one, listen to the Bret Easton Ellis podcast with the director. He's really like kind of, he's got to have a burner on like our Twitter side of Twitter or something. He's pretty cool, and he's a millennial like Ari Aster. I think he's 36, I want to say. And but then also I would say, if anybody has ever seen the movie, which we covered with My Fitness Feelings on here, Safe, starring Julianne Moore, the Todd Haynes movie. This is Safe, but for Zoomers. Where basically it's a woman where you're not sure if they're suffering from whatever they're suffering from, but they know that either they're manifesting it to become a greater problem, or they are just being opportunistic about it. And it's obviously in this movie, it's a little more clear that she's being opportunistic about it. And what exactly am I talking about? She is it's a woman. Let me see, what is her character's name in the Signa male. She's a Signa male female. And she is really kind of sad for her boyfriend, who also doesn't care about her really all that much. Who is a guy who makes furniture art. And there's a funny thing about the furniture art, because that's a very confusing part of the movie, because the guy steals furniture, asks her to help, steals it, and has just all this furniture in his apartment that he just stacks on top of each other, and everyone just loves it. Everyone just thinks it's the greatest stuff in the world. Now, the director said that was a play on Norwegian people just being way too trusting, because he's just stealing it out of department stores, and like nobody cares. It's kind of like San Francisco, you know, but like cleaner. And it's just like he said that. So if that part seems confusing to anybody, that's what he said. But she then realizes that she can learn through suffering as a white woman. She can suffer and get attention, and she learns this by saying when they're at a dinner, which is look like kind of a high profile art dinner for her boyfriend, the cook comes out and says, "Are there any allergies before I get going?" And then she says, "Yes." And her boyfriend's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "No, you don't have any allergies." And she says, "Yeah, peanuts." So then she takes a bite of the food that from her boyfriend's plate, which is not meant for her because it has nuts in it. And she then starts convulsing in an obviously fake allergic reaction. And then instead of her boyfriend's having a big day, all the attention is on her. So I go around before we go any further. Sai, what did you think of this?
Yeah, immediately threw me back to the Safe movie, the Julianne Moore. And there's obviously a lot of similarities, but some subtle differences, you know, in that I'm rooting for Julianne Moore every step of the way.
Yeah.
Safe, you know, because it's clearly like, because I am her.
There's something there. There's something there. Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then this one, it's just like, man, you know, this is
fucking dumb bitch. Yeah.
And I did think the boyfriend is he's the same guy as Midsommar too. So it's kind of funny. Yeah. She even looks like him, you know, just like,
it's very similar. Yeah. It's so funny.
But yeah, I loved it. I loved, especially the last 25 minutes.
Oh, the Euphoria Sam Levinson style modeling, zoom in close ups of suffering model are some of the best.
Baby hand girl in the bathroom, dude.
Oh my god, dude, it is so good. So we'll get to that part, but also before we get to that, I must say there is a part where she realizes that that Signa realizes that kind of suffering can get you attention, or the fact just a big catastrophic moment happening can get you attention, and that's all she wants is attention, because that's it's kind of a commentary on basically like all press is good press. Getting dunked on is good as long as everyone looking at you, kind of thing. And there's a woman that gets attacked by a dog in her coffee shop and just starts bleeding like all over her. But everyone immediately runs to her and who's unaffected, but she has blood all over, and everyone keeps asking if she's okay. And then a light bulb kind of goes off. So
yeah, and I think we should just briefly so that happens, and then the food thing happens, and then should we say what she does? Because I feel
I don't care. Look, you guys know when we talk about movies on here, just pause it and watch it if you don't want to fucking hear.
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. Okay, so like what she does is she finds. So after these two experiences where she gets all this attention, she walks home with the dog woman's blood all over her and gets and like people are like kind of freaking out on the street. And there's a brief moment where she tries to get a dog to bite her, and then that doesn't work. She gets like,
that was so funny.
That was so funny.
Where the guy's just
when
like,
the dude called her out. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
he's a boomer. He's like a boomer that knows nothing about this. He's like, "What is your fucking problem?" Like,
I know, like, what are you doing, freak? But then what she ultimately does, which is like the main plot driver of the movie, is she finds out that this Russian drug that seems sort of like a kind of opioid type thing causes a rare type of skin condition.
It's an SSRI. Yeah.
Oh, it's an SSRI. Okay.
Well, I think it functions as that, and it's definitely the director is definitely making fun of like all women taking these SSRI. I is what I would guess with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyway, so she takes it and she gets this horrific, absolutely her skin condition.
Well, she knows she's gonna get it. She knows.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah, commercial or something.
She saw an ad for. She went on this thing and saw like all these women, like kind of like one of those like tablet like thing you would see on Twitter. It's like woman, all these women, like how they're doing with Ozempic right now, with like their stomachs paralyzed and stuff. Like just one of those articles and all the things. And she's like looking through it and it looks horrible, but she's like, yeah, but. This could go off, but
my
go on.
Boyfriend will be nice to me.
Yeah. Or he won't matter anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she gets this horrific skin condition, which I can only describe as looking something like, I don't even know, like herpes, but it's like your whole body. Like,
it's very Cronenberg, very Cronenberg.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So yeah, I just thought I thought we should mention that's like,
and she gets it so she realizes that because classic Zoomer girl moment is she finds a guy who really likes her to get it for her rather than going out and seeking it herself. She finds some like incel drug dealer guy or like, I don't know, he's not an incel, he's just like a fucking kind of loser that lives with his mom who has a really cool house. I love that guy's mom's house with all the bookshelves everywhere. And she then gets him to buy the weird Russian like black market mood stabilizer for her, so that knowing that she's going to get this reaction, and she doesn't quite know how she's going to spin it as a career. And one thing that happens later in the movies is there's these constant like surreal where you're not sure if it's taking place or not, but these like delusions of grandeur that I think are really good. But she ends up getting obviously a horrible facial damage. And I like when she goes to the support group and everyone is like, well, you have a visible condition. This is like, this is good. I mean, you're lucky, you're privileged because you actually know something's wrong with you. Like, and which I thought was pretty funny because it's never enough, right? It's trauma Olympics and stuff like that. So that part is interesting.
I like the delusions of grandeur parts that you mentioned because they're very hard to determine while you're watching whether they're real or not. Which is, I think, exactly what she's experiencing. It's not like it doesn't go.
The book is killer.
It doesn't go like black and white. It doesn't go all like some weird filters. You're like getting some visual clue whether it's fake or not. It's you have to kind of decipher it.
Yeah, and, because everyone thinks she has just a bad decision. Everyone thinks she has like, oh my god, poor thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think for me, my favorite scene and the most repulsive scene was the sex scene.
Yeah.
A and I were like,
it's real though. You still got to hit. Yeah. You still gotta hit.
Well, that's what we were cracking up about it because we're like, she has this visible horrific. Basically, what happens is she has this visible horrific rash all over her body, and she's wearing a facial mask to like stem the bleeding from her like open sores, and she like she comes onto her like boyfriend and starts kind of like playing with him or whatever, and then he still hits, and it's like We were just cracking up. We were
When
like,
he's
oh.
like talking dirty, being like, "Oh, you're like so like, oh, like I pity you so much."
Yeah, He nailed what she wanted for sure.
Yeah,
but it was
it's all her fantasy to be pitied, it's just one of those things how you can't. Everyone feels like they have to be something. They can't just be a woman or a white woman or just like a woman that works at a cafe. Everyone feels like I need something special about me, right?
They even do a dig at us. They do a dig at podcasters when she's like, people tell me I'm really funny. I should start a podcast.
And he's like, who says that? Yeah, the guy I love that part. Yeah,
something no one has ever said to anyone in their entire life. Like usually it's like, oh, you're doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's a conclusion you and you will look. Yes, and but yeah, that part's great. I love how she uses the exact same room as her boyfriend's photo shoot for her famous interview for what happened to her poor innocent sob story. I love how because unlike Midsommar, she doesn't want her boyfriend's affection or commitment. It's kind of a competition. It's not really like we're going to be in love forever. She really just wants his attention, maybe a little submission, and stuff like that. And I do think, and we will talk more about the movie, but I do think it does capture modern culture now. Like you have that woman who's like viral for like walking around like a dog and stuff. You know what I mean? The girl like drinking out of like water bowls, and it's like that's fucking embarrassing. You know what I mean? But it's viral. You know, it's viral, and that's all that matters. And I think that's really the true satire is, and I see why Bret Easton Ellis loved it, because that's how his books read. His books read like this movie. It's very similar. They're just absurd. And to anybody who's watching this for a linear plot, it's there, but you do have to understand that this is just a commentary on like what Zoomers are doing right now, and millennials. It's not just them. It's us too.
What was your favorite part, Aim?
I mean, I love the movie, honestly. It was hilarious. Like, I don't
really
remember the last movie I like laughed that hard, honestly.
Yeah, is this how you make comedy now? I feel like this is kind of what you have to do to like, because I don't think the Judd Apatow comedies, I don't think those are able to really hit anymore.
No, there's been nothing good like that that's even remotely watchable. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, just like from the beginning, like throughout, it's just like the guy's fucking furniture that's like his art or whatever, and it's just like this crazy, like whatever, Norwegian like chair that you can't sit on or whatever. And like just the guy like cussing out the lady for like harassing the dog and
the modeling agency, we should talk a little more about that. Is great too, because because this woman, this is such like a white woman thing to do. Like this woman decides to open a modeling agency for deformed models, and
which is actually happening in real life. I mean,
it literally is happening. And like, I mean, right before the Lizzo controversy, there was a more minor controversy about Troye Sivan like not having like enough like disability and fat representation in his video. And it's like, God, does every product have to have like a
they really want you to jerk off to disabled people.
Really. I know they really do.
I realize like that's just like, I think that's because Victoria's Secret has the gunshot wound model. Have you seen that one?
Oh God, yeah. And like I feel so bad for boys now. It's like they just want to like open a Victoria's Secret catalog and jerk off, and it's like someone with like a wooden leg and like and has like an eye patch on.
And I like
Captain Ahab the model. Yeah.
They just want to see like one hot girl.
I like the part when they're getting lunch with the two friends, and the guy's like, "Hang on, so you got hired for this agency because of your scars?" He's trying to like put it together, and she gets all fit.
And she's like, "Why does it always have to be like that with you, with that condescending tone?"
Yeah. And then they just dip. They're like, "Yeah, you guys are suck, dude. We're out of here."
I know. I love them. I love them. The purest soul of the movie is just.
We all talked about how we would totally exit that lunch. It was so awkward. The other funny gag they do is at the deformed modeling agency. She has a blind assistant.
Yeah.
Who like
great stuff.
who like can't do anything and like can't like it's
She's
just
like, get a glass of water.
And the water's right behind the woman that asked too. It's literally like behind
Yeah,
her head.
I know.
She's like, "Hey, could you run across the room where you don't?"
Yeah.
I love that part.
and it's
And
like
actually,
it's such a funny commentary because it's like taking wokeism to its extreme, like almost is
Mhm.
like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like kind of how like A and I used to laugh about how they made Fetterman like the first retarded senator. Like
Mhm.
they were like, oh, we need one retarded senator, you know,
Yeah.
like let's get him in there. And it's like it's just it gets so absurd. It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, what is
the
this? Because you hear about with this with the Barbie movie and everything. It's all like this post kind of era thing. You know, it's like we all realize how
Yeah.
dumb all this shit is. There's something there. I think it's like,
well,
yeah,
with this movie, because I think you're right. I think you're right, and I've heard that sentiment where it's like, where was this when like this shit was taking off, right? Like
Yeah.
when this was clear, like in the 2010s, like where was this? It's kind of like a thing where like it's already won. I don't know that I don't know that I say that in culture it's won because I don't think the woke movies do very well. Like the real like kind of like they clone Tyrone or whatever, like that shit doesn't pop, like like it doesn't go. So I don't know that they won, but there is obviously a switch in the fact that that happened overnight, that you're quote unquote not allowed. I don't like to use that term, but like not allowed to do certain things in Hollywood anymore. But I will say, like, this is like, I didn't view this as so much anti-woke. I just viewed it as like Zoomers are retarded and they'll do anything. Like to like and everybody's viewed as this like independent business now, to where like you can't just have a job and like live in a society anymore. You have to be like something different. Like you have to be, and she's a white woman, right? So like white women always, since now like white women are excluded from feminism a lot of times. I mean, like it's black, trans, all this kind of thing, like that makes it more feminist. White women have to do weird shit now to be like, well, I'm like retarded, so can I be a feminist? Like they have to have that extra thing that like puts them in there. So like I do feel bad for some people, because you can't just be like a regular white woman and get the sympathy points. I don't think you should want the sympathy points, but people clearly do. That's what gets you attention,
Yeah, I mean I thought it was just such a good send up of the whole like victimhood economy thing, just like completely eviscerating that.
Totally. But Glenn's right too. It's like no one wants to be a normie anymore. It's kind of like everyone. And like, like I implicate myself in this. Like I'm not trying to say like I'm not trying to say like I'm above it, but like no one wants to just like have a normal job, and like, like everyone wants to kind of, it's kind of like, very really like a cliche now, but like Andy Warhol, like everyone wants their 15 minutes, and it's really a send up of that, because like at that opening party, it's like everyone has a thing, like someone's an artist, someone's a musician,
right.
someone, like everyone has like a thing that they're doing or whatever.
Did you guys ever like this happened when I was a kid in school, and I went to kind of like a poor elementary school. Most of the schools I went to were like kind of poor public schools, but like kids used to argue about who was poorer, and like if you were rich you got made fun of. That's kind of what I feel like that the culture is now, where it's like you're kind of, it'll be like, especially like rich kids will be like, yeah, but I have an allergy, or like I have this thing that like is my plight, like so therefore you must listen to me, because otherwise you won't listen to me because I'm too privileged, or it just vice versa. And I just thought it was clever. I thought it was clever because, again, the Ben Shapiro Daily Wire reaction would just be to do on the nose critiques of those things. They made this an entertaining movie, which is always what I get so mad about with conservatives. It's like, make a fucking movie, make something good that I want to watch. Like that's how you kill this shit. That's how you can't just react to things. Stop reacting to things. Like reacting to the art kind of makes people go, Barbie's woke. I'm gonna see it this weekend, but like the Barbie's woke, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Guess who goes and buys tickets now? People who hate Ben Shapiro are gonna go buy tickets to Barbie if they weren't gonna go see it already. Like it's but when you have tangible good art, which I think this movie is one of the better movies this year that's come out. It's quite good, and I hope it actually takes off and has a life of its own on streaming platforms after its release at Cannes. I really hope it does, because it's tangibly good, and you can show it to anybody who really may not even see the kind of social commentary in it, and they'll still think it's entertaining and really funny.
I agree, and that's what that's one thing I at least appreciate about Bret Easton Ellis, is he's like one of the few really successful artists who has it, who like never went woke, right? Like that would just like
never.
yeah.
Never.
What were
Yeah.
you gonna say? I saw you about to talk.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was just gonna say that it kind of like surprised me how much I like this movie because honestly, I just don't. I like can't watch anything that's made in the last like 20 years or something. I only watch like old stuff pretty much. Like
Same.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
But
like
it makes you really excited though. Like you know what I mean?
no,
Like,
exactly. It was.
really
It kind of made
excited.
me optimistic. Yeah, a little.
Yeah, that you didn't have to lean into it. You didn't have to support it because of its message, right? Because like to be honest, like the message is really cool, and I think it's well executed and well hidden, not too on the nose, but it's also standalone, just a good movie. Like I could show it to my mom and she'd think it was really funny, and we have completely different politics. Like she would think it's funny. But let's talk a little bit more about the modeling. So what Signa does is that her body's just decaying. She's like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. Like her body's like really decaying. She's coughing up blood at the modeling agency, which the blind woman steps in and drags into the room, which is really funny.
She has like actually it's less like herpes and more like leprosy.
Yeah,
It's leprosy.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Deformed, bleeding, like, sores.
This woman who like was a fine looking woman before that would rather be this hideous like leper and be popular and have people talking about her, be the center of attention rather than just work her coffee shop job where she probably has healthcare, she probably has all that shit because it's fucking Norway, and she probably could live a decent life, could be like a really successful artist's wife, which like
they have a beautiful apartment.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, back to the modeling.
But the modeling, right? So I love when her hair starts falling out, and then there's a time where she actually shows up to the photo shoot after the woman who recruited her, the clearly like woke like Sarah McLachlan but for disabled women kind of recruits her and brings her in. The guy's just like damn, we're doing this type of disabled. I love the look on his face. Like the guy, he's like, we're disabled. I got you. And I love that. His look it killed me. And there's just that scene where he's asking her when it's for her first time to shoot, and they got her in this kind of like Supreme. I forget what the saying is, but the Supreme, she has like a Supreme style bucket hat on, very hype beast that she's dressed on, very gender neutral.
No, wait. What were the clothes called? Oh my God, what was the brand called?
Regardless.
Oh yeah, what was it called? Regardless. And yeah, so she's modeling non-binary clothes, and the brand is called sizes. Regardless. And I think the saying is something like, regardless of who you are, you can wear regardless, or something like that.
It's in that vein, like a very progressive, very kind of gender neutral, like nothing, no tones pop out too hard.
But
like
the clothes are so funny. The clothes look ridiculous.
With her fucked up face.
and she can't finish the phrase. Dude, that's the funny thing is she throws up on the phrase.
And like my wife, like she can handle a lot. Like we can watch a lot of movies that are gross, but one thing she doesn't do well with at all is like even minor vomiting in movies really like makes her like sick. Like she just cannot do vomiting. Like even if it's like a drunk like party and someone throws up in the toilet, like nothing that's like that catastrophic. It's just like gross to her. And that movie, she's like I like this movie, but like it's so gross. But throwing up.
What's the part where the guy picks the throw up? What was that part? Remember that where the boss guy like reaches down and grabs it and scoops it off the floor? Remember that shit?
Oh yeah,
I totally was like, I wasn't.
It's just like an absurdist like kind of thing. It's just, I think it's just like an absurdist kind of thing.
And, because she's falling apart essentially, like
because they want her to be falling apart, but she's obviously gone too far now, and
the other funny. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like sorry, but I just mean the book, right? The book. She gets called out for being a fake by her friend who also wants the pills. That's always funny too. Like she kind of wants the pills too, and like then she finds out the guy that got her the Signa the pills tells another girl because the guy's just like a simp and he just tells women everything. And he says yeah, she wanted it, like she knew what was bad about it and she wanted it. So then the girl outs her as a kind of a fake and whatnot. But then Signa then just can't let it go and has this like feverish dream, which it's actually looks like it's real for a while, is that the journalist who wrote the piece, like the sad, oh how sad that you're suffering piece, she comes clean to the journalist and says, I'm actually, I did this on purpose to myself. And she goes, this isn't a story. This is a book. You know, like she's like, this is a book. We're gonna write you a book on this, and like, and then it's just like it's flying off the shelves. Men, women are buying it. Like Signal, oh, stunning and brave. Like, so that was good. But Q, what was the other part you were saying?
Well, first off, I want to say another thing. As someone who's like been tangentially involved in the publishing industry, something you're almost similar to you should start a podcast. You almost never hear, oh, you should put that in a book, because it's like writing a book's really hard. I was just laughing. Sorry, back to the modeling thing, when the makeup artist is trying to figure out how to put makeup on her like sore oozing face, and they're like, they cannot figure out how to like put,
because that happens with what they're doing right now. Like, that like is a thing. Like the makeup artists, like they should unionize and strike because of what they've been having to do lately. Like, to have to like it's tough. It's like you come up a certain way to like have to do this and to do your job. But yeah, she looks absolutely hideous. Like she's just like falling apart, throwing up blood everywhere. And it's just, I think it ends perfectly. All parts of the movie are funny, and I would recommend checking it out. I mean, I had to rent it. I think it's worth a rental. I know some people, I'm the schizos on here probably downloaded it illegally. I don't support that, but if that's what you do, you should still watch it, I guess. And any final thoughts on the movie?
I'll pay for the independent filmmaker to get.
He's good, man. He's good, and he's got a new one on A24 with Nicolas Cage coming out that looks kind of good too. Where Nicolas Cage is like a real schlubby, like bald teacher that keeps appearing in people's dreams, and I think that's just the premise. But I think it's a similar kind of dark comedy kind of thing. So he's got some stuff coming out too. So I'm actually excited for him. I'm excited because I've been scared to lose the David Lynch's, the Titans. They're in like their 80s now, and I've been like, not saying that this guy's anywhere near them. I don't think he is, but it's just, at least there's got to be somebody to like still create something for people to get excited about, and hopefully his movies become these movies like Oppenheimer and Barbie that like people go see. Because I remember everybody had a Midsommar take in 2019 because it was right before COVID. Everybody had a take. People said it was boring. People said it was scary. Some people said it wasn't scary. Some people, I want movies to be like that again, where everybody talks about it, like Succession. Like just everybody has a Succession take, and I want that to happen again. So, yeah. So, anyways, before we let you guys go, I just wanted to ask, like, what is your guys' plans for your show? Because it's definitely a hang. Like ours, it's a hang, but like we like really want to make like a media company. What we do you guys like plan to expand and like really do stuff, or do you just want to have like fun? Because both are fine. I just wonder. I'd like to know because would you guys ever want to do you guys ever want to become like the how big do you guys want to get, right? Because I know you guys have private personal lives.
Yeah, well, we're kind of in the middle of a little Q&A intensive here, because Q's with me at my place in Chicago. Sick. And but I don't know, what do you think about
well, we're making plans. We're here with A and his beautiful family, beautiful kids, so we do have a lot of kid stuff going on. But we're gonna start a Substack, and we're gonna build from there. And I think that we're just trying to like kind of look one step ahead instead of like super far ahead. You guys are much farther along in the process than us, but we felt confident enough. We're almost at our 1 year mark to go ahead and start a Substack and kind of like see where that leads. And we're going to we're going to ask your advice. I guess we can ask you on air.
Do it. Yeah.
We were thinking of keeping everything on the kind of free side and just saying, if you want to sub at $5 to support us, we'd love that, and then start paywalling stuff later, because we do have a lot of people, not a lot, but we have like a solid core of people who seem like they would be willing to throw us $5 a month to get things started off. But
you'll
anyway,
be surprised. You'll be to start whenever, and you'll just be surprised.
There's people that just want you to keep doing what you're doing. There's people that want bonus stuff. There's people that just want to like support people that they like. There's people that a lot of people just want to hear you talk more, and which is crazy, like because I've always been told to shut up my whole life. There have been people to say to me that say you should start a podcast, but it's like Glenn, stop talking, go do that somewhere else. You know, like it's I have been told that, but like it is crazy that like have you guys ever been late with an episode, like, and people are like, where's it at? And you're like, oh shit, you care? You know? That's the first time where you're like, you get a little anxiety because you're like, let's hurry up and get this out, but you're also kind of like, oh shit, like people actually like want this at their job today. Like they're, you know, that they don't like the same way that you listen to a podcast at your job to get through the day. It's like, I'm that for somebody else. I mean, yeah, is the number high? No, it's never. It's not nearly where it needs to be, but it's also kind of humbling and cool. Like, you know, like it's just like I don't know. It's crazy.
We love that we've gotten a little bit of a fan base going, and like, I think we're just doing one step at a time. I mean, like I said, has 2 beautiful babies, so you know, his hands are literally full of gorgeous babies a lot of the day. So you know, we kind of are taking it slow, but the Substack's the next step. So
did you carefully select your mate through like race science or no? No, okay.
No, man, we
not
met
based.
in the
Sorry, not
old-fashioned
based.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not even on the app. So,
yeah.
they met like out, like just normal.
Wow, imagine that. Yeah,
but they made some gorgeous kids. I've been having so much fun hanging out with them. They really did.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's great. No, I would say because you guys have that like a good hang vibe, which is very good. And sometimes, and we've been told the same thing, but like sometimes you're like, well, shit, I want to like get like this person on and like sit down and like really interview them, you know, and all that. And it's I will say, like, nothing's off limits. Just do it. Like, don't ever say like, does that fit our model? Fuck the model. People want content. That's what everything is now. There's no rules. Like, you can just do whatever you want. And it's, you know, sometimes they get a little scary. Sometimes you get backlash. Sometimes it's sometimes you hit the lock button on the account. You know, sometimes a lot of things happen. But at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want, and everybody just make people buy into you, and then you can do whatever you want. We talk about fucking paranormal shit now, and people are like, "That's cool. Thanks for doing that." Like,
well, we would love to like also just like, you know, quickly like have a little love sesh, but like thank you guys, because you guys were such a beacon, I know, for a lot of people during COVID and stuff like that. So you know, you're an inspiration to us, bros. You really are.
Man, you know, and that's nice to hear, because like, you know, for the longest time we just it didn't stop us from anything. For the longest time it just felt like, damn, there's just like the SoundCloud bots are listening to us and that's it, you know, like it was, and you're like, oh wow, that's crazy, like that this person reposted the track, oh that's fake, you know, and for the longest time. But it helps, because it helps when you're friends with the person that you do it, because there's no like this has to be this by this date or else we're done, you know, because it's like at the end of the day it's still talking to your friend, you know, and that's it never stops being that. And if it ever does stop being that, you got to retool, because it's still got to be fun, you know. And I really I hope for the best for you guys. It's a fun show. I know our audience loves you guys, so they're gonna love that this even happened. Like I'll share this fun screenshot and everyone will know immediately what it is. And no, truly, like there's people like in our Discord, and if you want to be on our Discord, hit me up. I'll send you the link. But anybody, well, not anybody, but there's a vetting.
I should get on Discord. I'm not currently on there at all. Yeah.
It's fun. We'd love to have you on there.
We have a sick Discord. Like we do. Like there's like one shitty person, and it's only because they're annoying and not because they're bad. And it's like there's out of like 300 people in there, so it's like it's fun. But yeah, so on that note, everybody listen to Thoughts and Prayers. Let everyone know where to find you guys.
You could find me at Saint Q92 on Twitter. Thoughts and Prayers spelled THOTS, and Prayers is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you could find podcasts.
Look for the Ben Affleck picture.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, and and soon to be our
Substack, which we'll put on our Twitters. A is at Low IQ Moron.
Yes, he is.
On Twitter. So yeah, you can find us on Twitter. We'll be posting the Substack probably before I leave A's house. So yeah, pretty soon, next couple days.
Excellent. Yeah. For us, you guys know where to find us, rarecandy.substack.com. I play a commercial in the episode, so hopefully you guys already checked that out. And Substack, we got Gain of Fiction coming next weekend. We have a well, actually, it'll be this weekend because this is coming out next week. So I always lose track of all that stuff. And more to come. All right, guys, everybody have a safe week. See you later.
Yeah.